Hey guys, and welcome to a rather extensive summer book haul. This is a kind of culmination of everything that I've gotten over the summer, and honestly, if I hadn't had the amount of computer problems that I had over the summer, I would have definitely released these all as like May book haul, June book haul, July book haul, August book haul. They all would have been separate, so this one's probably going to be kind of long, and I probably won't have a lot of time to talk about each one in too much length, but I did want to share all of the things that I got without having to make all those separate videos. So hopefully we can get through this and it won't take too long. I'm sure that I missed a few. I'm pretty positive that there's a few that I forgot to grab off the shelves, or I just forgot that I got it, or what month that I got it in, or where we got it. But I tried to grab as much as I possibly could, and hopefully you'll get a good idea of what I've gotten this summer. So let's start with going back to May. I'm going to go to my birthday. I got this for my birthday. It's Seven Eves by Neil Stephenson. I actually have already read this since I got it, and it was pretty recently, and I'm going to be doing a full review of it, and you should expect that sometime this week. I really enjoyed it a lot. I really like Neil Stephenson's writing style. There's a lot in this. It's pretty dense at points, and it goes over a lot of stuff, and I liked that in a lot of points, and sometimes it was a little bit too much, but overall I really liked it a lot, and I'm excited to do a full review on it because I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to read more by Neil Stephenson. And then I got this. I don't remember what month I got this in, so I just kind of placed it here. It is The Truth About the Harry Quebert Affair by Joel Dicker. I think that's how you pronounce Quebert, probably Quebert. It's a French kind of mystery thriller. It's written by a Swiss guy, and that lives in France. I've been trying to pick up more thrillers and mysteries and stuff like that set in different countries, and Giselle actually picked this one out. We got this at the dollar store. I didn't remember getting it there, but we got it at the Dollar Tree, and I have to say they have some seriously random stuff at the Dollar Tree sometimes. If you've never been to a Dollar Tree looking for books just to see what they have there, you might want to check it out. Check out your local Dollar Tree if you have one and see what they have there, because this is in perfect condition. It was only $1, and it's a book that I'm really interested in reading because I have a few that are like that are mysteries that take place in different countries that I'm probably going to read all of them in a month. Probably do like an international mystery kind of month, probably in December. I've been kind of thinking about doing that. We went to the Boston Public Library sale with Steve in June, and there's one every 2 months, and I only got 2 books from there, but they're books that I'm really glad that I got. I got The Crimson Petal and the White by Michael Faber. I read The Book of Strange New Things by Michael Faber a little while ago, a couple months ago, and I really liked it a lot. This is very different from that, I'm pretty sure. It's more of a historical novel, and that one was like a kind of strange sci-fi novel. This one is historical, but I'm still really interested in it. I liked Michael Faber's writing so much that I really wanted to get this and pick it up. And when I saw it, I knew I had to. And then I also got this. This is In Sunlight and in Shadow by Mark Halperin. I haven't read Winter's Tale yet. I do own it. It's one of those books that I'm really anticipating reading. I really want to read it, but I've not gotten the chance to yet, mostly because of how big it is. I just haven't found the time to sit down and read it, but it is one of those books where I'm just like, this is a book that I want to read more than a lot of other books, so I should probably get to it soon. And then this is actually an ARC for it. Came out in 2012, and this is actually the advanced reader's copy of it, and I found this at Boston Public Library book sale, and really wanted to get it. It's such a beautiful book. I've had my eye on this book for a while because of the cover. It's kind of a cover buy / I really want to read Winter's Tale, and it makes me also really want to read this. So I'm glad I got that. Steve was telling me a bit about both books and really piqued my interest when he was talking about them. And then these next books are kind of books that we've gotten at thrift stores over the course of the last few months. And so the first 2 that I have here are Stephen King books. The first one being The Eyes of the Dragon. I actually read this last year on audiobook and really liked it. It's a fantasy book. It's one of Stephen King's only fantasy books, I guess, going along with The Dark Tower. And it does have some ties to The Dark Tower. And if you enjoy fantasy but don't know if you'd like Stephen King or want to try to get into Stephen King, you've never read Stephen King before, but you like fantasy, maybe try to give this one a go. I know some people who don't like Stephen King very much but still like fantasy and liked that book. And then I also got The Green Mile, but it's a serialized version. So there's 6 parts, and they all come in these tiny little paperbacks. So this book was originally a serial novel. It was a 6-part novel, and they put in this little box set, and they've been binding it up recently and putting it together as a bind up. I'm really glad I found it and bought it in this edition now, because one of the best things about it, it comes with a floppy disk with the free screensaver on it. That's pretty nifty. Gonna have to find some sort of ancient computer that can actually still use floppy disks, but really glad that I had that. I've never read The Green Mile. I've seen the movie, but I've never read Green Mile, and I know it's one that a lot of people really like a lot. And the next book I have already read before. I listened to this one on audio as well. It is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, and this is kind of like a post-apocalyptic book that follows a traveling symphony in this post-apocalyptic world. I loved this book. When I first read it, I gave it 5 stars, and I knew I'd want to reread it at some point. So when I found it in perfect condition at a thrift store for like $1, I knew I wanted to pick it up. And then I have The Summer Tree by Guy Gabriel Kay. This is part of the Fianavar tapestry. It's book 1 in a series, apparently. And I mostly got this because I really would like to read more Guy Gabriel Kay. I haven't been able to find some of his more popular books like Tigana. I did read Under Heaven and liked it. I liked the writing style a lot. The story was a little bit meandering for my taste, but I did like the writing a whole lot, and I've heard some really great things about some of his books. So I have been trying to pick up some more Guy Gabriel Kay, and I do have the ARC for Children of Earth and Sky. The publisher sent me the ARC for that book. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I will at some point. And then I also have The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet by David Mitchell. I've read a few things by David Mitchell now, and I love his writing style. I've really connected with it. I think this is the one that I'm most excited to read next because of its sort of connections to the Bone Clocks and Slade House, and at least the connections that I've heard about. It has some sort of connections to his other works in general, and I really enjoy those books. I'm hoping to really enjoy this as well. And then I also got Michael Chabon's The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay, and I actually don't know that much about this one. I did read the first chapter when I got it and really liked the writing style. Heard really great things about Michael Chabon, and have been trying to pick up some of his work as well, this being one of the most well-known. Perfect paperback condition of this book. I knew I had to get it. And then Cryptonomicon by Neil Stephenson. I actually got this one before I read Seven Eves, though I do know of Neil Stephenson's work in other ways, and I've heard some really good things about this one and Snow Crash. I already have Snow Crash in paperback, and Giselle and I are hoping to read Anathem together soon, which we don't own the physical edition of that yet. But I found this, and I definitely wanted to get that and continue to collect and read Neil Stephenson's work. And then this is another one that I've actually already read, and it's Hidden Bodies by Carolyn Kepnes. I listened to this one on audiobook because the audiobook is really the best way to experience these, at least for the first time. I probably will reread both You and this in the future, even though they both disturb me to no end. I think actually when I do reread them, I do want to read them in the physical edition instead of listening to the audiobook to see if it's a different kind of experience, because it's a very distinct experience listening to those books, and this might be a little bit different to read it physically. And this was literally perfect. It had just come out when we found it at a thrift store. Giselle saw it at the thrift store when she was there and was like, "Hey, do you want this?" And I was like, "Sure, it's only a couple bucks." So I'm glad to have the physical edition of that one. And then the next pile is actually from Giselle and I's new favorite place in the entire world, or at least on the East Coast, or at least in New England. This is the best bookstore that we've ever been to. It's one of the funnest bookstores we've ever been to. It's called the Book Barn. It's in Connecticut, and it's about an hour and a half away from where we live. And when we found this place, Steve told us about it, and when we found this place on our way back up from Maryland to Massachusetts, we were visiting Maryland. We were visiting my parents in Maryland, and we were driving back up to Massachusetts. We stopped there on a whim. We stopped in Book Barn on a whim and stayed there for like 5 or 6 hours looking at books. It's these 4 different locations all within like a couple miles of each other, all on the same road. And they're big, and they've got so many good books. It's all used books. It's all secondhand books. They're all inexpensive, and there's just so much to see, and they're always restocking it, and there's always new books there. So we got a bunch of books there. I think I'm missing a few that we got there, but I just grabbed some that I was most interested in showing you. So I got Still Life by Louise Penny. This is the first book in the Chief Inspector Gamache novels. So this is a Canadian mystery, and it kind of also goes with the international mystery and thriller collection that I would like to have and start reading. I do have a bunch of the other books in the series. I bought them all. I actually hauled them all in April. I believe I hauled them all in April. And I was saying that I really wanted to find the first one because I had found numbers 2 through like 6 and needed the first one. So I found the first one at the book barn, and I was really happy to have done that. Hopefully I really like it, and that will justify me buying most of the rest of the series, because I did that. And so I also got these 2 books, these 2 Agatha Christie books. This is 5 Hercule Poirot books, and this is 5 Miss Marple books. So those are beautiful. And when we saw them, we really want to get them. They're these kind of like soft, cushy, squishy. I said cushy, squishy covers. So they're hardbacks, but they're also squishy. They're fun. And there's 5 novels in each of these. I haven't read any Miss Marple or any Hercule Poirot yet. I've kind of been holding out to start at the beginning and kind of work my way chronologically, like in the actual order that she published them in. But I'm not sure if I actually care about doing that or not. I bought these. I think they're kind of random in here. I think the fact that they're just kind of 5 random novels from these series in here kind of speaks to the fact that you don't really need to read them in order, but they are 5 random ones in each of these. And so in the Hercule Poirot, there's Death on the Nile, Murder on the Orient Express, The ABC Murders, Cards on the Table, and 13 at Dinner. And then in Miss Marple, there is The Mirror Cracked, Caribbean Mystery, Nemesis, What Mrs. McGillicuddy Saw, and The Body in the Library. So I will get to some of both of those series very shortly. And then I also got these 2 paperbacks for Dune, Messiah, and Children of Dune. These are the next 2 books in the Dune series. And I'm probably not going to ever read the ones that Frank Herbert didn't write, but I do want to read the rest of them in the series. I loved Dune when I read it. I gave 5 stars to it when I read it. It's one of my favorites that I've read. And when I read it, I did like a full review on it, and I really want to continue on. I can't believe it's taken this long to continue on with them, but I also haven't found like nice condition paperbacks of the rest of them, and these ones are perfect, and they're the same edition as the Dune edition that I have, so I had to get those. And then I also picked up this. This is Chasm City by Alastair Reynolds. I got this, I saw Paul from Common Touch of Fantasy talk about Alastair Reynolds on his channel quite a bit, and talk about this series, I want to call it. And I didn't realize, I did know that this wasn't the first one, but I didn't realize when I was getting it. For some reason, I just forgot that this was not the first one. I picked it up thinking it was the first one, but Revelation Space is the first one. So I got this without having Revelation Space or having read Revelation Space. So I'm going to read Revelation Space, and hopefully I really like it, and we'll continue on with Chasm City. And I think there might be another one in between these 2 as well. I think it's more of like a kind of loose series where you don't necessarily have to read them in order, but I would very much prefer to read Revelation Space first. And this is kind of like an epic science fiction space opera kind of thing, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I also got from the book barn The Blind Assassin by Margaret Atwood. I really want to try to read some Margaret Atwood, and this one won the Man Booker Prize, which is pretty cool. Obviously, I've heard great things about Margaret Atwood, and I'd love to check this book out and see what it is. And then we also got The Subtle Knife by Philip Pullman, and this beautiful edition. I used to own The Golden Compass when I was young in like middle school in these editions, and I had the other 2 books, The Subtle Knife and The Amber Spyglass, in completely other editions, these random editions that I hated, but I read them all. I loved this trilogy when I was younger. It was one of my favorites, and I haven't reread it in a very long time. So we've kind of been collecting the others. We actually have 2 copies of The Golden Compass in this edition. I don't know how we ended up with 2 copies. But then we also have Amber Spyglass in this edition. Now we have finally had The Subtle Knife. I was very excited when Giselle found this in one of the rooms in the book barn and showed it to me, and we got it. And then one of the 4 buildings that is the book barn has a bunch of old books, has a bunch of also like folio classics, a bunch of those like Franklin classics, those really, really nice hardbound editions, and then these really nice editions of books that are in these folio things. And then this one in particular is Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne. I used to really like Jules Verne when I was younger, especially 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I have not read Around the World in 80 Days, and we saw this edition and thought it was just beautiful and had to get it. It was only $4, and we knew we had to get it. It has these really beautiful illustrations in it with really nice colors, and we're we really wanted to get that. We wanted to get more of them. We could have justified getting more of them because of how inexpensive they are, and they have so many to choose from, but we only got 2. And that one we both kind of decided on, and then I decided to get this one. I had seen this one at a different place in Maryland a while ago, and I wanted to get it then, but it was like $25 at that place, and here it was only $6. So it's The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo, and also again it has these lovely illustrations in it, and some of these like inserts as well, and I needed it. I love Hunchback of Notre Dame, and I needed it, so I got it. Now we have such a great collection of old books and old looking books and just classics in this new apartment now, and those really stand out and really look nice on that shelf. And I'm probably going to be reading Around the World in 80 Days from this edition because we don't have any other editions. We have some more editions of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, but I really wanted it, so I got it. I just realized like all of these books are just kind of hanging out on my lap. Ugh. So Giselle and I went and got married in California. If you didn't know, we're married now. And before we left, we packed 2 suitcases full of books from her house in California. And we didn't even bring all of them. We brought maybe an eighth of her books that she has. And then she went to California again a couple weeks later and brought back 2 suitcases more of her books, and then brought back maybe like another eighth of her books that were there. So there's a whole bunch that I'm not going to show you, but we will be doing a bookshelf tour at some point. So you'll see all the books that we actually own here in this apartment at some point. We'll probably be doing that on our vlog channel, but we'll let you know when we do it. We would really love to do a full bookshelf tour though, with all the books that we own, that we collectively own, whether they're hers or mine or both of ours. We'll eventually show you those, but I did want to show you a couple of the books that I got from her that I wanted to show you. I'm not going to show you all of them, like I said. She's hauled all of these before on her channel, but there's a few that I'm excited about. And so the first two are the first 2 books in the School for Good and Evil. I believe this is a middle grade series. It might be YA. It's somewhere in between middle and YA, I think. And it sounds interesting. It's about 2 girls, one that's on the good side, one that's on the evil side, and then there's schools for good and evil, and they end up getting switched. The good one goes to the evil school, the evil one goes to the good school, and hilarity ensues, or something like that. I don't know the plot of any of them, but other than that, but they sound fun, and I've heard many great things said about them. So, and then she also has this box set of the Night Angel trilogy by Brent Weeks, which is The Way of Shadows, Shadow's Edge, and Beyond the Shadows. I have not read any Brent Weeks, but I've heard, obviously, some amazing things about him. It's a side of fantasy that I haven't necessarily dived into all that much. I've never read any like Joe Abercrombie or anything like that, and I feel like a lot of these kinds of things are similar. I feel like this is on the grim, dark side of fantasy, and I haven't really dived into that side of fantasy before. So I'm looking forward to giving these a shot, and we have this beautiful boxed set of them. And then there are these 2 books here that are, once again, YA books, funnily enough, that I've been wanting to read for a while. When I first joined BookTube, I think a lot of people have this experience where they find BookTube through some of the more YA-focused BookTubers. And even though I've kind of stopped reading a lot of YA and I've kind of stopped liking a lot of YA, ever since I first discovered those channels, I've seen these books mentioned, and I've wanted to read them ever since. I'm not sure if I'll like them or not, but I am glad that Giselle owns them and that we were able to bring them back. And that is Anna Dressed in Blood and Girl of Nightmares by Kinder Blake. And they look fun. I think the writing is in like dark red inside these books, which I think is pretty cool. And I mean, I think they look fun, and I'm hoping to possibly get into them. YA horror, I think it's probably got a bit of romance in it as well. I'm not sure, but it is something that I've been wanting to read since I first joined BookTube, and I'm glad I get the chance to, even if I don't end up liking them. And then Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. This is something I've seen mentioned on BookTube so many times, and actually we went to the Book Barn. The Book Barn has so many copies of this, but Giselle has a copy, and we brought it back from California, and she knew she had a copy, so we never even thought of buying one at one of the thrift stores that we see it at. I see it at thrift stores all the time. I see it at the Book Barn, and Giselle had it already, so I brought it back. It's been something that I've been really wanting to read. I've been avoiding buying it at one of those other places because I knew Giselle had it. Like I said, now that I finally do have it, I can finally read it and see what all the hype is about and see if I enjoy it as much as everyone else seems to. And then the last thing that I'm going to show you that I got from her is Lexicon by Max Berry. And I recall a lot of people reading this and enjoying this and recommending this last year in 2015. And ever since then, I've been wanting to read it. And Giselle had it. I believe she got it from Book Outlet at some point. And I'm very glad she did. And then the last stack of books is just some ARCs and publisher copies that I've gotten. These first two are actually ones that I did not get from the publisher. They are Company Town, and that's by Madeline Ashby, and I Darken by Kirsten White. The Company Town review that I did should be up by now, and then I Darken, a review for that should be up sometime this week. So I got both of those from Steve. He got them from the publisher. He read this one and liked it, and he didn't really feel like reading I Darken, so he said I could have it, and I read it, and I have some things to say about it, and you'll see that review soon. And then publisher Crown sent me Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I did post a full review of this. I really, really enjoyed this book, and if you want to know more of my thoughts on it, you should go check out that review, because it's a great book. And my landlord just started mowing, so hopefully that's not too loud. But I really would like to finish this, so Little Go Gone by Gary Schmidt. I believe Gary Schmidt has written another series under a different name. I don't know anything about those, but I saw this and liked the cover a lot, read the synopsis, thought it sounded interesting, so I decided to request it. And then the very last thing is something that I actually can't read just yet, but it is The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin, or it was kind of sent to me. Even though I haven't read the 5th season yet, I thought I might be able to go out and find, I might have time to go out and find the 5th season, be able to go online and order it, or find it in person. I was really hoping to find it in person, and I just never was able to. But today, actually, I went to the library and checked it out, checked the 5th season out. So I'm going to, this week, be reading the 5th season and Obelisk Gate, and hopefully be able to get reviews of both up within the next couple weeks. So that's everything. That is my whole book haul for the summer. I have a September book haul that'll be coming out very shortly. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you've read anything that I've talked about, please let me know what you thought about it. I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear what sounds the most interesting to you and what you're the most excited about that I got and will be picking up. And yeah, thanks for sticking around through the whole video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later with more.